What's up, Torpedo Maniacs, and welcome to the first episode of What's the Deal With, a space where we give you the lowdown on comic book characters and get you primed up for their upcoming appearances. Now, before we get going, don't forget to repulse or blast that subscribe button and ring that bell so you get notifications when new videos are on the way. Now, without any further ado, let's figure out what's the deal with Darkhawk. Christopher Powell, also known as Darkhawk, is a Marvel Comics character that first appeared in his own series, Big Moves for a New Guy, simply titled Darkhawk in March of 1991. Created by the legendary Tom DeFalco and Mike Manley, the Darkhawk book debuted at a point of immense growth for the House of Ideas. Comics were booming in 1991, and the market saw an increase of other publishers pushing products and fighting for readers' attention. Marvel would eventually go on to dominate the space, have 90 out of 100 of the best-selling titles of that year. Now, that sort of stranglehold on the market came with an immense pressure on creators. In an interview with Bleeding Cool, Fabian Nicieza said about this time, "They were raising our budget expectations by the quarter. So let's say they agreed to quarterly budget expectations for 1994 and Q1 came in 30 million higher than expected, they automatically bumped Q3 and Q4 to match those numbers. So some books being developed had to be rushed. Strife Strikes Files kind of books, a lot of reprint books, and stuff taken out of Marvel Comics Presents were then published as a separate one-shot, etc. Still, this meant that true believers got plenty of new titles to satisfy their cravings, as described in the same interview by Darkhawk writer Danny Fingeroth. As I recall, Marvel had a strategy of controlled growth in the years before the big boom. Put out a new title every month, assume that half will succeed, so a net growth of 6 titles per year. Darkhawk was part of that. DeFalco, seeing the average age of their readership, wanted Marvel to continue to introduce more teenage characters. He workshopped a few ideas he had for other books, pitched it anonymously to Marvel top brass, and got the idea for Darkhawk greenlit. Fortunately, his schedule would not afford him the time to write the series, so Danny Fingeroth, initially hired as a series editor, was brought on as the writer. Darkhawk would have a successful run at Marvel, running well into 1994, hitting 50 issues in 3 annuals. Fans would see him return in various series, including Runaways, Avengers Arena, Nova, and most importantly, a little team-up book called New Warriors. Darkhawk's character is actually not unlike that of DC's Shazam, or Captain Marvel if you're an old head. Teenager Christopher Powell lives in New York City with his family, and one day he follows his brothers John and Jason as they wander into an abandoned amusement park across from their childhood home. Do they find abandoned fun and stale popcorn? Nope. They find Chris's dad, Mike, New York Police Department cop, making deals and taking bribes from mob boss Philippe Bazin. This would be a huge point of conflict later in the series, with Bazin serving as a chief villain and Papa Cop Mike providing background character work with an occasional being used as a dude in distress for Darkhawk. Chris and his brother are seen by the mobsters, and while fleeing for their lives, Chris finds an amulet. Now, unbeknownst to Chris, this is a Raptor amulet, which allows the user to transfer their consciousness into an android called a Raptor. The Raptor and the user switch places, with the user being teleported to the null space. Chris uses his newfound bling to fight crime as the hero Darkhawk. Over the years, Chris and his armor went through plenty of changes, with Chris finding out that the armor is actually an autonomously existing android, one of 5 created by an alien mob lord that he hijacks every time he wears the amulet. At some point during a relaunch, Chris and Darkhawk actually become separate entities, but this was short-lived, and eventually Chris and Darkhawk are given the freedom to switch bodies without the use of the Raptor amulet. Let's be honest, Chris Powell sucks. He doesn't know karate, and he isn't the star of the show, and sometimes he can be a burden. Darkhawk, however, is a super-powered android that possesses both incredible strength and speed. He has retractable wings under his arms, which were initially used to only allow him to glide like a flying squirrel until he was rightfully given the power to fly and cross large gaps in seconds. Now, this is extremely helpful, as a large portion of Darkhawk's later stories are tied to the cosmic universe, like War of Kings, and Darkhawk needed to be able to get to planets like that. Darkhawk can heal major damage, while Chris switches back to his human form, though this idea doesn't work in reverse. Chris can't get shot and turn into Darkhawk and come out unscathed. He just dies. Darkhawk also has the power to shoot a giant laser from his chest, which is kind of cutely dubbed Dark Blasts. Now he can control the form of this laser and shape it into shields, which becomes super handy. He has telescopic eyes, infrared vision, claws on both arms, which are pretty standard fare for most androids. Now, Darkhawk has the ability to tap into the data song, a hive mind of radio telepathic information shared between all raptors. This allows Darkhawk to control the mind of other beings because he can broadcast this frequency outward, as well as using the information received from individuals to predict outcomes, kind of like a cyber clairvoyance. Darkhawk was given a second suit that also had a whole slew of other goodies and fun powers, like multiple suit modes, like Strike Mode, which had heavy armor and heavy weapons, and Rescue Mode, which aided in his maneuverability and the ability to ferry passengers. So there you have it, all the information you need to get yourself ready for Marvel's relaunch of Darkhawk in August. Jump on the train. He's a really great character, and I think you're going to enjoy it. Stay tuned for more videos, and don't forget to head over to our social pages for updates on new issues, details on our special signings, and to participate in our daily Instagram live sales. See you later.